Hey guys, this is part 2 of my testimony. I did part 1 already. I'm Ethan Hunt from Ministries. Basically, I'm just going through what I went through to the point where I am now. I'm just giving you guys a taste of all that. Anyways, I left off in part 1 with I started working at this new opening of a restaurant, and every night the boss and my new friend and I would go bar hopping. You know, it wasn't good. We'd be in the bathrooms smoking up and just chasing all this stuff. And I remember one night I was in a bar with a friend, and I think it was a blizzard that night. And I just remember we kept drinking, and I wasn't feeling what I used to feel anymore. I just felt a really strong conviction, like, why are you doing this? You're throwing your life away, like. And the rest of my night was ruined. I couldn't continue anymore. And I remember we did drive home drunk, and we were just trying to avoid the cops and everything. It was a pretty scary night, and I remember telling my friend, I said, I'm done with this, I can't do this no more. And he agreed the same for him. And he went off on his path, and I haven't really talked to him since, but that night something happened. And I remember the next day, I was just so sorry, and my heart was so repentant towards God for the way I've lived my life and everything. And I probably prayed for like 2 hours. And I just remember I prayed out to God over and over and over again. I just loved Him, and I needed Him, and I knew He was the only way, and my life was nothing without Him. And I just remember this prayer, and it just consisted of a long period of time. And when I had finished, a paper fluttered off my nightstand, and it said camp meeting, I think at like 7:30, and the time was 7. And I took this as a sign from God, like I needed to be there. I needed to be at this camp meeting at this church. And I was excited, and I felt God within me. And I yearned to be around other Christians, and that's really what pulled me to go to this church meeting. And I remember I was so excited, I came out of the door, I told my wife, and right when I was giving my wife this account of my new relationship with God, a white bird flew past the window, like right by the window. It was like, I took that as another sign of God, you know. And I got ready as quick as I could, and I drove to this camp meeting, and I was just so excited to be around other believers. And now I realize that is a sign that you're a believer, is when you want to hang out with other believers. Because I had really never had this urge before like I did now. It was just an overwhelming urge to be around other believers. So I got to this camp meeting, and I'm so excited, and I just sit down, and there's this guy speaking from Africa. His name was Dr. Leon Van Ruin, and he just started speaking, and the message just sank deep within my heart, and I grasped onto it, and I loved it. And I'm not sure if it was this night or maybe I went 2 nights. I may have went 2 different nights. But anyways, I remember he did an altar call at the end, and people started lining up, and I lined up too with them, and people started falling to the ground. And I'm thinking to myself, what the heck is going on? What did I get myself into? This is crazy. So basically, I stood in that line to disprove what was going on with those people. And I remember the guy finally got to me, and all of a sudden, Jesus' name is just somersaulting through my mind over and over and over again. And the guy puts his hand on my head, and he says, "Oh wow, I can really feel Him inside of you. I can really feel His power. I can tell He's in you." And this goes, "Power." And when he said power, something just, I basically paralyzed, and I fell to the ground. And I'm a shy guy. Like, I normally wouldn't lay in front of no one. Like, I don't want no attention. I don't want nothing. And this happened to me. And I just remember a golden light and one of the best feelings of love I've ever experienced. And I could have laid in there for hours and hours. And I felt God that night. I literally was in a heavenly presence at the feet of God. That night, God proved to me that He was real. He didn't have to show me that, but He did. I shouldn't have needed proof. I should have taken the proof that's in nature and the scriptures. But that night, He showed me He was real. And later on, I realized that I was baptized in the Holy Spirit that night. That's what that was. And I remember how excited I was. I had never been excited in this way in my whole entire life. I remember as a kid I'd get excited about amusement parks and stuff, but this wasn't the case. This was way more exciting, way more adventurous. This was something I could live for. And I told my wife everything. And I got home that night and I couldn't get it out of me. It was so good and it just overflowed within me. And God was with me, the Holy Spirit was with me. And He puts in me, that very same night, make a ministry. Make Christ is Risen Ministries. Start this ministry. And that night, Christ is Risen Ministries was started. And that was that night. And I'll never be the same since that night. And immediately, I wanted to be baptized. I wanted a real baptism. So I set all that up. And I remember it was a renewing. So I wrote out something and I read it to the crowd. And I was baptized, and when I went under, and I came back up, every single part of my past, every wrongdoing, everything I've ever done against God, it was left in the water. It didn't control me no more. It didn't hang off of me no more. It was dead in the grave. And I just remember refreshing, renewing of mind, renewing of spirit, renewing of heart. I was a new person. And I remember I got back to my car and everything, and a song came on the radio, and it was talking about I don't know, it was about angels, and this is the beginning of your new life, and that was another sign from God, I know. Just, it was an amazing day, and since then I have been a believer, and this is where I've ended up. This is my new life. This is the end of part 2. Thanks for watching, guys.